What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast and apologies for not uploading over the past couple of days. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong with me. I basically just wanted to have a regular weekend for a change, and I don't know if any other PvP content creators feel this way, but having the leagues rotate on a Friday night is literally the worst timing possible. You can't really record content ahead of time for the weekend because nobody is interested in gameplay for a league that's no longer available, and the most interest in any league is always going to be during those first couple of days, so you kind of just have to sacrifice your weekend if you want to put out relevant content. But anyway, small run over. In today's video, I'm going to be showcasing some gameplay running a triple Owl theme team in the Open Great League with Noctowl, Dartrix and Decidueye. Before we get into the question of the day, I want to remind everyone that I'm hosting the Battle of Spies competition during this league rotation, where you essentially have to try and win with the spiciest and most unique team you can possibly put together in any of the 3 leagues currently available. You can submit a maximum of 1 battle per league, so 3 in total, and to find out more about the competition and submit your entry, visit the link in the description. But with that being said, let's get into the question of the day. What is your favorite bird-like Pokemon? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle, we lead Noctowl into Azumarill. Now, this isn't that bad, but I'm going to swap into my Decidueye, and the opponent responds with Sableye, so I've already got a rough feeling that it's going to be Azumarill Double Ghost in the back. I'm not sure what that second Ghost Pokemon will be. It does vary from time to time, but let's see. We're going to go for a Spirit Shackle here, hoping for a debuff to the defense, and we do get the defense drop, and now a second Spirit Shackle probably grabs the second shield from the opponent, and it does. We also get a second defense drop as well, which is absolutely huge, because now we can come in with our Noctowl, probably just no shield twice, and fully wing attack farm down the Sableye. They go for Foul Play first time around, not going to do too much damage. If they are at a return, this is going to do considerably more damage, and it is the return, but we still get the wing attack farm down. Now I'm only making it to 1 move up against Azumarill, might as well go for the Shadow Ball, and then I will swap immediately into my Dartrix, and the opponent responds with a Trevenant, but this is where Dartrix is absolutely clutch as we make it to a Brave Bird in time. Brave Bird easily one-shots the Trevenant, and now all I have to do is make it to a second charge move up against the Azumarill. They're going to go for an Ice Beam here or a Play Rough, doesn't really matter. It is the Play Rough. We make it to a second Brave Bird, and Brave Bird is easily going to be enough damage to take up the Azu, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there, and if you're wondering why I went for Brave Bird instead of Seed Bomb, despite Seed Bomb being super effective, Brave Bird is always going to do more damage in that matchup, so thought I might as well just send it anyways. But into the next battle, we see Shadow Dragonair in the lead. I'm going to swap, try to catch a resisted move onto my Decidueye, and unfortunately I'm not able to do so. The opponent holds onto the energy, and they come in with their Skarmory. Now, shout out to K-Pine, who is actually a content creator that I don't actually normally watch, I'm sorry to say, but I did see their video with the Shadow Dragonair, Skarmory, and I think it was a Lantern as the third Pokemon, so I kind of had a rough idea of what the team was going to be. I needed to bait out the Skarmory anyway, so I'm pretty happy I did that. We come back in with the Noctowl. I'm going to go for the full farm down, unfortunately not quite able to get there in time. I think I have to shield this up. It should have been a Brave Bird, but the opponent only goes for the Sky Attack there, so that's actually pretty good for me. We are now going to see the opponent goes for a Body Slam there. It doesn't quite take us out. I full sent a Shadow Ball expecting it to be the Lantern coming back in, but it wasn't, so I swap, and it's actually a Whiscash, not a Lantern, so that turns out to be really good for me, because you're going to see Scald doesn't do much damage, they don't get the debuff either, and the opponent just concedes the match there. But if they had Lantern, I think it probably was game over, as they would have just brought it into my Noctowl, and yeah, I wouldn't be able to do much. But GG's to that opponent there, and into the next battle we see Dugong in the lead. Yeah, this is really bad for me. I'm just going to go for a Shadow Ball because they're going to debuff me, but I don't expect them to shield the first move. And Shadow Ball, I do believe, does do slightly more damage, despite Sky Attack being Stab. So we go for the Shadow Ball there. I should still make it to another charge move, and the opponent does make the catch there. So quite lucky that I didn't go for the Shadow Ball this time around. In all honesty, I have not played Noctowl like literally since before the Wing Attack buff, so wasn't sure if I'd make it to the Shadow Ball or the Sky Attack there, but we did make it to both. Luckily, they only caught a Sky Attack and not the Shadow Ball, but here I kind of have to shield this up. Obviously, we are very weak to ice here, so I've got to preserve some of my health. I'm now going to go for a Brave Bird. I don't think Seed Bomb would take them out. No, it definitely wouldn't. But Brave Bird easily does take them out there. I'm just going to fire off the Seed Bomb because they are at an Icy Wind, but the opponent is just going to go for the full Ice Shard farm down, and it's not looking too good for us. We need to make a catch, but the opponent, incredibly well disciplined, doesn't throw straight away, waits for me to make the attempted catch. and now at this point it's game over. I let the first one go through just to see how much damage it does. The second one will definitely KO. Even if I shielded that up, then they would have just Ice Shard, farmed me down anyways, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But Ice-type Pokemon can be very difficult for this team to deal with, especially in the lead. If it's in the back and we somehow got some sort of energy advantage or shield advantage, it might not be too bad, but that was very rough for us. But here we're going to go for a Sky Attack up against the Sableye in the lead, and we are going to see that Sableye is actually not a purified Sableye. So this could in fact be a Power Gem. So I'm going to shield it up. It is the Power Gem. That probably would have taken us out from that range. So I'm glad I shielded. We're now going to go for a Sky Attack, get them fairly low, and the opponent's going to swap into Licky Tongue, and the opponent is core broken by Noctowl. Probably weren't expecting to see it since Noctowl doesn't really get a lot of use in the meta these days. So we are going to let this move go through here. As the opponent goes for the Body Slam, we're now going to go for a Sky Attack. I think we might stay in here and just force the opponent to throw, but no, actually we're going to swap into our Dartrix. Going to go for the full Leafage farm down, and I'm running Leafage just because I prefer to have a 2-turn fast move on my Dartrix. Of course, I've got Astonish on my Decidueye, but I felt like as a safe swap, we kind of need a Pokemon that doesn't have a fast move resisted by Skarmory, so that's why I'm running it. But there, the opponent tried to make a catch. They weren't able to do so, and they just concede the match there. But GG's to that opponent. Into next battle, we see Talonflame in the lead, so we are going to go for a charge move straight away, throwing just before they make it to a potential Flame Charge or a Brave Bird or a Fly. The opponent lets that go through, so I think I can afford to also let this go through, as the opponent goes for a Flame Charge there, ramping up their attack, and they will be able to fire off the next charge move before, well, it would have been a CMP tie if I threw straight away, but I'm actually going to bank that, swap into my Decidueye. Unfortunately, we don't get the 0-turn swap there, so we do take Incinerate, well, 2 Incinerates worth of damage, which gets us into the yellow health range already. We're going to go for a Spirit Shackle. We could be running Brave Bird on the Decidueye, so we grab a shield there, although the opponent can now just let the next move go through, and they are going to let it go through. We do get the Serperior fairly low, but let's see. The opponent is going to go for the Aerial Ace, taking out the Decidueye. I'm going to come in with my Dartrix, and the opponent has a Vigoroth in the back now. I'm going to let the first move go through. Even a Rock Slide will not KO from this range, so I let it go through. Dartrix does have some decent bulk here, and I make a huge mistake. I don't know why I threw it on the CMP tie. That was such a dumb idea. I thought, oh, I'll throw one before they make it to a Rock Slide, but I'm obviously in Body Slam range. They let that go through, and now we don't quite have enough energy for another Brave Bird, so I go for the Seed Bomb, but the opponent knows that, and they can just safely let that go through. Seed Bomb doesn't do much damage. We need to get the Wing Attack farm down, as they still have a shield remaining, but the opponent is already at another charge move, so I definitely threw away that game there, throwing on the CMP tie up against the Vigoroth, and unfortunately we do end up losing that game, but GG's to that opponent there. Into next game, Lantern in the lead, so obviously going to safe swap out of that matchup. The opponent's going to stay in for ages, and then they come in with Serperior, which isn't really a hard response either, so I could potentially flip this matchup. We're going to go for the Spirit Shackle. The opponent lets the first one go through. Unfortunately, we don't get a debuff. I'm also going to let an Aerial Ace go through, as we do barely live that, and we can make it to at least 2 more Spirit Shackles before they fully farm me down. We now grab a shield, and we get the defense drop, and the opponent throws on alignment, so I get a full Astonish in for free. We're now going to go for a Spirit Shackle here. This should be grabbing the final shield, as the opponent is definitely going to fight for switch advantage, but I recognize that if they came in with Serperior here, they might have maybe a second grass type in the back, so if I just save a shield advantage for my Dartrix in the back, we should be pretty good here. So I'm actually going to fully let the Noctowl go down. I don't think Thunderbolt will quite take us out, so I'm going to swap now into my Dartrix, and it's a Venusaur in the back, so a slight energy advantage allows me to make it to the Brave Bird before they get to a Sludge Bomb. We easily one-shot the Venusaur from full health there, and I can now just safely shield up against the Lantern. I will overfarm just slightly more. Seed Bomb isn't the best move here, but these leafages are really adding up, and this is now certainly going to be Seed Bomb range, so I go for the Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb takes out the Lantern, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Noctowl into Skeledirge, so not an ideal lead matchup for us, but certainly want to see it here rather than in the back. The opponent's going to swap into their Greedent, so this is fine with me. I guess they try to catch a Shadow Ball, but it's obviously very difficult to catch a move when you're running a 5-turn move like Incinerate, well, the only 5-turn move here. But I'm now going to let the first move go through as they go for Crunch. I was going to swap into my Decidueye, obviously not great considering they do double resist Astonish, but if they were running Trailblaze and Body Slam, then it would have been good. But since they are running Crunch, I'm just going to come in with my Dartrix here. I'm actually not going to choose to throw a charge move at all. I'm going to wait for the opponent to try and swap back into their Skeledirge, and then hopefully land a Brave Bird. So the opponent goes for the Body Slam, they swap back into the Skeledirge, and now we can full send the Brave Bird. Brave Bird is going to do huge damage to the Skeledirge, and hopefully they're in range for one Astonish to take them out. But let's see, we come in with the Decidueye, and we do take them out there with one Astonish, and they've got Cresselia in the back, so this game should be all but wrapped up by now. We're going to go for a Spirit Shackle. Spirit Shackle, gonna grab a shield, no defense drop this time around. I actually don't remember what the odds are for the defense drop, but doesn't really matter. This game is absolutely over. We shield up the future sight correctly. I don't believe this is enough for another future sight, so we let it go through, just a Grass Knot, absolutely fine. Now we're going to swap back into the Noctowl, bank the energy, go for a Sky Attack. Sky Attack takes out the Greedent, and we can just go for a Shadow Ball up against Cresselia, and the opponent is probably just going to let this move go through. If they recognize it is game over, and that's exactly what they do, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into next, going to see Shadow Poliwrath in the lead, so pretty okay matchup for us. The opponent's going to safe swap into a Shadow Gligar now. We're just going to let the first move go through. They do throw just before we make it to a charge move, which is good by the opponent because obviously when they swap, they are one turn behind. But if they get off a charge move before us, that kind of cancels out any sort of misalignment in our fast moves. But here they're gonna go for another charge move. We can live this. I'm gonna bank the energy, swap into my Dartrix. I can also live this as well, and I was thinking, since I will be taking double super effective damage from an Icy Wind, I would let that go through, but maybe that wasn't the right play here. We're now going to go for a Brave Bird, throwing just before they make it to a Sludge Bomb. The opponent lets that go through. That does quite a lot of damage to the very bulky Clodsire. And we're now going to come back in with our Noctowl. I should be able to win CMP, so we're going to go for the Sky Attack straight away. Could have gone for Shadow Ball, but I thought maybe they'd try and catch it on their Poliwrath, but they don't. But then they swap. I tried to swap out there, but I just barely wasn't able to do so, and this is going to be a really close game now. Of course, the opponent can permanently debuff me with Icy Wind, which is why I wanted to swap out there, because I wanted to eventually clear my debuffs. But we're going to go for the Frenzy Plant here. I think Frenzy Plant is needed to KO from that range. But at this point, I should just be able to go for Spirit Shackles here. So they go for another Icy Wind. We are now double debuff, so it's going to be very close. But I feel like if I just go for a Spirit Shackle and I have a Frenzy Plant loaded, we should take this game. But it doesn't quite KO there. That is agonizingly close. And Frenzy Plant also doesn't quite take them out either. The opponent makes it to a charge move. Stone Edge also doesn't quite take us out, but they did have the Icy Wind loaded. And that was such a close game there. But Icy Wind takes out my Decidueye, and unfortunately we do lose that game, but GG's to that opponent there. And into the next battle, we see Emolga in the lead, and I think this was like the first battle I did with this team, and I was like, what the hell is this doing here? I'm just gonna let this move go through. If they go for the Acrobatics, then fair enough, but they go for a Discharge, so I think they probably are going to be running Discharge and Acrobatics, otherwise they probably would just go for Aerial Ace here. They go for a second Discharge. We do just barely live that. All my moves are going to be resisted, but Brave Bird does grab a shield anyway, so that's fine with me. We're going to wait out the switch clock here, and then since it does look quite clear that they are running Acrobatics as the charge move instead of Aerial Ace, I'm going to come in with my Decidueye, shield this up as they did overfarm quite considerably. They bait once again with the Discharge here. At this point, I'm doubting myself, like, do they actually have a second charge move, or is this just a single moved Emolga with Discharge, and the opponent going to go for another Discharge here? Honestly, I've got no clue. Trainer, if you are watching this, let me know, did you have Acrobatics, or were you single moved, or were you just clueless? I don't know, but we go for a Frenzy Plant into Galarian Stunfisk, coming back in. I can safely overfarm here. No point throwing the next Frenzy Plant straight away, because honestly it might not have KO'd from that range, but now they are definitely in range, so we can go for Frenzy Plant number 2. This will be enough damage to take out the Stunfisk, and they've got a Swampert in the back, so Frenzy Plant is easily going to be enough damage here to one-shot the Swampert, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, he knocked out into a Bastiodon. So this is obviously awful. Gonna swap into my Dartrix here, and the opponent's gonna stay in with their Bastiodon. I mean, not ideal for me because we are taking super effective damage from these Smackdowns, but honestly, I think I already know the team is going to be like Wigglytuff and Shadow Vic in the back, so it doesn't really matter what we do here. I know because my switch clocks aren't aligned, well, very misaligned here, I kind of have to shield that up. We're now going to go for a Seed Bomb. The opponent recognizes that that's not going to do much damage, and we do just barely miss out on the next charge move as well. So really not ideal for me. I'm now going to come in with my Decidueye. The opponent swaps there though into Annihilate, and we're able to make it to a Spirit Shackle just before they make it to an Ice Punch. That does big damage, but it doesn't quite take them out there. So I'm forced to swap, catch the move onto my Noctowl, although now it's just going to be switch locked up against the Bastiodon, and it's not looking too good for us. I'm going to let the move go through here, so they go for a Stone Edge, nearly one-shotting us, and they get an extra Smackdown in for free. So here I'm going to overfarm. I think it's still probably going to be a Shadow Victory Belt in the back because Bastiodon users, they don't know what else to pair their Pokemon with. So we're going to overfarm as much as possible, go for the Spirit Shackle. Spirit Shackle is going to be no shielded by the opponent. We can make it to another Spirit Shackle. Honestly, I need the defense drop here. And we don't get it, which is unfortunate because we do actually make it to a third Spirit Shackle in time, but this is just not quite going to be enough damage to take out the Shadow Victory Bell, and unfortunately we do end up losing that game. But GG's to that opponent there. Internet's going to see Sableye in the lead, so much better lead for us. This time it is a purified Sableye, so still going to let the first move go through as the opponent is going to go for the return, which does huge damage there. But it does mean we can now outpace them to 2 charge moves, so we're going to go for a Sky Attack. Sky Attack gets them fairly low. We're going to overfarm just a little bit, making sure they don't make a catch here as we throw the second Sky Attack, and we grab a shield from the opponent. So at this point, I'm actually going to shield this up just because last time we saw a Sableye, there was a Noctowl in the back, and once again, there is another Noctowl, so maybe a content creator put out a team like this before because I haven't seen it, but it's quite an interesting team composition here. Luckily for me, we do make it to another Sky Attack in time, so this is going to get them very low, and we can also live a charge move on our Dartrix, so I'm going to let the first move go through here. As the opponent goes for the Sky Attack, and the opponent will make it to a second charge move. I think I have to shield this up here as Astonish farming them down is not going to happen, but they've got a Azumarill in the back, so as long as I grab a shield here, we should be looking pretty good, and the opponent does end up shielding the Seed Bomb, so now this is perfect. The opponent throws straight away as well, so just going to be an Ice Beam. Ice Beam takes us out, but I should be able to live an Ice Beam on my Decidueye, and all I have to do here is farm 2 back-to-back Frenzy Plants. The opponent going to throw the first charge move. Ice Beam gets us very low, but we can still very comfortably make it to back-to-back Frenzy Plants. I actually farm 100 energy just to be sure, and Frenzy Plant takes out the Azumarill, and a second Frenzy Plant should be enough damage here from this range to take out the Noctowl, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Internet's going to see Noctowl into Defense Form Deoxys, and we are just going to stay in this lead matchup here. And I am going to go and overfarm, go for the Shadow Ball, and the opponent makes the perfect catch there, catching a double resisted Shadow Ball onto their Vigoroth. Amazing play by the opponent. We can now at least outpace them to a Sky Attack here. This probably doesn't warrant a shield. It doesn't get that shield there, and the opponent, really well played here. I'm just going to let my Noctowl go down. They go for Rock Slide, taking us out. I'm thinking it might be a triple counter team, but I'm not certain. I'm going to shield this move. I should be able to just go for a full Leafage farm down here, and let's see what that final Pokemon is, or if they come back in with their Defense Form Deoxys. And the opponent here is actually going to come in with a Guzzlord, so we basically just need to land the Brave Bird. If we don't land it, it's game over. And yep, it's game over. I'm going to swap into my Decidueye, hoping to just land a Frenzy Plant or something. I don't know. Clear the debuff at least, but Crunch going to be taking us out, so I'm just going to concede the match there. But very well played by that opponent there. Now into the next battle, we see Lickitung in the lead, so a great lead matchup for the Noctowl. The opponent's going to safe swap into Skeledirge though, so this is a little bit tricky. We have to just stay in with our Noctowl, so I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball straight away. Possibly could have overfarmed, but I don't know. The opponent's going to farm to 100 energy here, so going to let the first one go through. I will shield the second one as they do throw straight away, but this is fine with me. We are getting fairly low though, so I'm now going to go for 2 wing attacks, go for a Shadow Ball, and then I will swap into my Decidueye because I don't want them to fully Incinerate farm me down. And here, the opponent is going to make a really smart play, swap and catch the Spirit Shackle onto their Lickitung, so that was really predictable. I don't know why I did that. I should have just committed to the full farm down anyways and used the shield. And here we don't even make it to a Frenzy Plant either. So that's probably worst case scenario as they can very easily tank that. It's not looking too good for us here. I'm going to come in with my Dartrix, and at least these leafages are doing some decent damage here. Gonna let the first move go through as they go for a body slam. Doesn't do too much damage, but I'm just going to have to let the next body slam go through as well. And at this point, we are taking quite a lot of damage from these licks, so I'm going to overfarm here, swap, catch the next body slam onto my Noctowl. That's pretty good for me. Body slam will be taking us out. I'm going to overfarm as much as I possibly can. Go for the Seed Bomb here. Seed Bomb will be taking out the Licky Tongue, and the opponent's going to have a Whiscash in the back, but they swap at the perfect time there. I tried to click on the charge move, but I wasn't able to do so, and then we lose the CMP tie, so really well played by the opponent there. Disarming Voice takes out the Dartrix, and unfortunately we do end up losing that game. But into next match, we see Skeleturge in the lead this time around, so once again, not ideal for us, but better to see it in the lead than in the back. We've got to be very careful of any swaps or catches of the Shadow Ball, but we do throw just before they make it to the first charge move. Gonna let the next move go through as the opponent goes for Disarming Voice, and I will shield up the next attack from the Skeleturge. As I go for a second Disarming Voice, we're going to go for the Shadow Ball here, and then once again, going to swap into my Decidueye, and the opponent is going to double shield the Shadow Ball there. We swap into Decidueye, and it's a Mandibuzz in the back, so worst possible thing we could see in the back to counter my Decidueye, but we go for the Frenzy Plant, and that does some respectable damage. We throw on the CMP tie. I'm just going to let the move go through, fully sacrifice the Decidueye, but the opponent fully undercharges that, which makes a little bit of sense there, but honestly they probably should have charged it just a little bit, because otherwise they're gonna have to throw a second charge move anyways, which they're gonna do here. Aerial Ace will be taking us out. I'm gonna come back in with my Noctowl, basically just force the opponent to throw their energy as soon as possible, and they do end up throwing it straight away, so fine with me. Aerial Ace, actually Dark Pulse will be taking out the Noctowl, and now we come in with our Dartrix here, and we've got to overfarm massively. We can tank one Aerial Ace, so I will let the first one go through. I'm gonna go for 4 leafages here, go for the Seed Bomb just before they make it to the next Aerial Ace. This should be enough damage to take them out, even though it's resisted, and they've got Cresselia in the back, so it's not looking too good for us. My only win condition here is if this isn't a Moonblast, and it's just a Grass Knot, so I have no idea why they threw there, but I will absolutely take it. We go for the Seed Bomb here, as I know that a Brave Bird will not be enough damage to take them out. We just wait for the opponent to swap back into the Skeleturge, and they do exactly that. Brave Bird takes out the Skeleturge, and now hopefully we can outpace this Cresselia to another Brave Bird. It's going to be very close. We are now in Grass Knot range, but we make it in time. Brave Bird will be enough damage from this range to take out the Cresselia, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Noctowl into another Sableye. So actually, earlier, I said about Sableye and a Noctowl on the same team. This might actually have been that team, so we might have not seen it already, but they're going to go for a foul play here. I'm going to let that go through. Going to go for the Sky Attack, and the opponent is going to be no shielding the first Sky Attack, and now they're going to swap into the Noctowl. So yes, I did get it a little bit mixed up, so if you were confused about that, this is the other game with the Sableye and the Noctowl on the same team. But here we're going to go for another Sky Attack, winning the CMP tie, which is huge for me because we get the Noctowl very low. So I'm going to let the move go through here. We should just about live this, but I'm going to swap out anyways because there's no point letting them farm me down. We come in with our Dartrix here, and I'm hoping that I can shield once and then just fully leafage farm them down from this range. Is going to be very close. Can we get the farm down? Yes, we are able to do exactly that. They come back in with the Sableye. We lose the CMP tie, but that's fine. We should be able to live a foul play from this range, and we do. We can now go for the Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb will be taking out the Sableye, and their final Pokemon is going to be a Lantern, and this is looking really good for us. We can just go for the Seed Bomb, grab a shield from the opponent. Our Switch Lock isn't quite up yet, but now we're able to swap into our Decidueye, and this is game over. The opponent going to throw a Charge Move just for the sake of it. The opponent going to go for the Thunderbolt. They realize it doesn't do much damage, so they're probably just going to let the Frenzy Plant go through. We're going to throw it anyways, and Frenzy Plant takes out the Lantern, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, another Bastiodon in the lead. So going to say swap into my Dartrix here, and the opponent does actually swap out, but they swap into the Wigglytuff. So this is a matchup that we could potentially flip in the one shield scenario if I do successfully bait, and they are running Bastiodon and Wigglytuff. It's very likely that they're going to be fighting for switch advantage. So they're now going to go shield that up, go for an Icy Wind, grab my shield, but hopefully a Brave Bird still KOs from this range. But if they're smart, they're probably just going to double shield, and they do exactly that. Now, Not great for us. We're going to come back in with the Wigglytuff. They will make it to another Icy Wind, which we have to just let go through, as of course Noctowl doesn't have much play up against the Bastiodon. We're now going to go for a Sky Attack here up against this Wigglytuff, and then I will have to swap instantly into my Decidueye, and the opponent's going to swap into a Shadow Victory Bell. So here, I wasn't quite sure how much I should overfarm, and I'd possibly overfarm too much here. As we go for a Spirit Shackle, it does KO, but we are so low here that I don't think we're even going to make it to back-to-back Frenzy Plants. We're going to fire off the first one anyways. Frenzy Plant really doesn't do much damage there, and the opponent is able to go for a full Smackdown Farm Down, so kind of just depends. If we threw our Spirit Shackle one fast move earlier up against the Victory Bell, could we have taken them out there, or would we still need that one extra fast move anyways? I'm not really sure, but GG's to that opponent. And into the next battle, we see a Shadow Gligar in the lead, so fine to see it in the lead. I'm just going to go for the overfarm here, let the opponent throw their first charge move. As they go for an Aerial Ace, we can tank a second one by the looks of it. I'm going to go for a Sky Attack here. Sky Attack coming through. Sky Attack grabs a shield from the opponent, so fine with me. I'm going to let this move go through, and then I'm going to go for a Shadow Ball, just because I'm only going to make it to one more charge move, and Shadow Ball I do believe does slightly more damage here. So Shadow Ball is going to be no shielded by the opponent. Now we swap into our Decidueye. Gonna shield this up. It is my safe swap, and then I should be able to Astonish, farm them all the way down, and the opponent lets me do that. Now they come in with a Dugong. This is not ideal for me, but we do have an energy advantage. So we go for the Frenzy Plant here. Frenzy Plant coming through, grabs a shield from the opponent. We could argue that I should have maybe baited with the Spirit Shackle, but I will make it to another Frenzy Plant anyways, and the opponent is going to stay in, allow me to get there. We are debuffed though, so Frenzy Plant not quite going to be enough damage to take them out, but they have to throw a charge move to get rid of me here, otherwise it probably would have been a simultaneous KO. And now at this point we should be looking good. They've got a Medicham in the back. Ice Punch is going to be double super effective, but you're going to see Dartrix is actually fairly bulky here, as we're able to tank that reasonably comfortably. I can overfarm, go for a Brave Bird here. I'm not sure how much damage it does, but from this range it takes out the Medicham. I'm able to Leafage, farm down the Dugong, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into next game we see Alolan Sandslash, Shadow Alolan Sandslash in the lead. So not ideal for me, but this is my best matchup since they are running Shadow Claw and not Powder Snow. So we do double resist the fast move damage. They have to throw a second charge move to take us out. And Shadow Ball is actually going to do some decent neutral damage here in this matchup. And it does put them into farm down range for my other Pokemon. But the opponent does overfarm perfectly, throwing on the CMP tie. Ice Punch takes out the Noctowl. We come in here and the opponent already has another charge move loaded. So I'm going to have to use my shield here, but I can go for the Astonish farm down and come out with a decent amount of energy. The opponent's now going to come in with a Superior, so I'm going to go for a Spirit Shackle, hoping to grab a shield, because like I've said earlier, we could potentially run Brave Bird, although I'm not. And now I'm going to let this move go through. We should be able to live this. It is an Aerial Ace, and I can make it to a Spirit Shackle. I bank the Spirit Shackle, swap into my Dartrix, and let's see if the opponent wants to stay in this matchup, or if they want to swap into their final Pokemon. It's going to be a Medicham as well, so I'm going to overfarm here, and I make a huge mistake. I didn't realize this at the time, but I thought I would easily make it to back-to-back Brave Birds up against the Medicham here. So I'd send the first one, grabbing the final shield, but then I realized I'm just one away from the next Brave Bird, but I had to throw on the CMP tie, and Seed Bomb doesn't do anywhere near enough damage. And then the opponent didn't actually throw anyways, because I guess they were trying to not be caught, but our switch clocks were misaligned anyways, but they're able to counter, farm me down, and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into next game we see Registeel in the lead, which I haven't really seen much this season, but it's not a great lead for the Noctowl. I'm just going to stay in anyways because Dartrix can't do an awful lot. We can at least hit for neutral Shadow Balls here in this matchup, so that's why I do stay in. We should live a Zap Cannon as well, just barely. They get the attack drop, but I make it to a Shadow Ball, and then I probably don't really want to let them fully lock on farm me down, but I can now swap into my Decidueye, because even if they swap out, Dartrix should be able to take out Registeel from that range, but the opponent's going to swap into a Poliwrath, so very interesting decision here. I'm going to go straight for the Frenzy Plant, grab a shield from the opponent. You could argue that I should be baiting there because they're definitely going to shield as they are running Icy Wind, but they go for the Icy Wind. I'm now going to overfarm. Actually, no, just go for the next Frenzy Plant straight away there. Frenzy Plant grabs the final shield from the opponent, and this is looking fine with me. Looks like the opponent throws straight away, so I'm just going to let this move go through. Icy Wind takes out the Decidueye. We come in with the Dartrix, and I'm going to try and catch the next Icy Wind onto my Noctowl, and I'm able to do exactly that, perfectly catch another Icy Wind. Icy Wind takes us out, and they've got a Lantern in the back, which is why they came in with a Poliwrath. We're now going to go for a Seed Bomb. Back-to-back Seed Bombs should be enough damage to take out the Lantern here, and I've still got a shield remaining as well, so we're looking perfectly fine. Taking out the Lantern there. The opponent is going to wait out their Switch Lock, and they're going to come back in with the Poliwrath, and then just concede the match there, as there's nothing they could do, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.